just hold it like a book instead, though. If we hold it like a book, then we can log in. But if we hold it the other way, like a computer, it doesn't do it. It might be in the settings, but that's okay. I don't know. Or it might be old school, vintage. We need our venti on the side. We need our black coffee. Josh Forde Show is logged in. Let's give it a second so we could get everybody tuned in with us. I gotta do my words with my friend too so I could get it popping. Early morning city popping. The weather is looking crazy outside. It's looking spooky hours. Hardly any sunshine today. Looking cloudy. That's a spooky hours, baby, type of morning. So we're gonna break down the 7 ring song. We're gonna keep breaking it down. And we're gonna play a snippet. A lot of people at first they said this song sounds crazy. I said yes it does. Indeed it does. Apple. You gotta do a big check like the Nike check on my wrist right now. That's a big deal. 7 rings, Magic Island. Is that so? What is this photo all about on the song? I said, well, you could see. That's 3 or 4 Wish You Were Mine albums. Okay, I should be able to see that. As you could see, but you gotta take a look. I believe that's 3 Wish You Were Mine albums. 7 gold rings like Sonic rings. Hold on 1 second. Then we got 12 gold Coconut Kingdom chains. The women's team. That's just a cover. So the cover alone, very interesting. Then it says the song is 3 minutes. Magic Island. So we gotta play the whole 3 minutes. Then you have to go download it on Apple Music, but you can also download it on Apple Music first or on WMIRecords.com. If you go to joshformusic.com, it'll take you directly over there. It's where you could go find it. Let's go through that. So joshformusic.com, boom. Watch it load up. Beautiful. Money green screen. Once you get to joshformusic.com, you got the money green screen. That in the morning is when you know you're waking up to money right there. joshformusic.com. Money green screen. So once you tune into that, right, then it says new music out now. Boom, boom. Once you click new music out now, it takes you straight to the site. Boom, once you go straight to the site, you can click the 7 rings, Magic Island. Boom. Once you click 7 rings, Magic Island, it loads up. Once that puppy loads up, guess what you could do? You could click the slider. Once you click the slider down there, right, it says Wish You Were Mine, or you can click the slider. You can click show all. You can click buy. Once you, or you could go to Apple Music, Pandora, or any of that. That's on here. That's how you can find it before we go to it. So then we could click Apple Music, or you could just go right here, add to cart on the site. So once I click add to cart on the site, let me just download it. Then I'll add all my Apple Pay and everything, and then you'll be able to download it for free. Or if you want it on top of your iPad, you could go to iTunes and download it too. But it's for free. But that's only right now because it just dropped. It's on sale. It's a Magic Island right now. So then once you enter your phone, email, and your number, right, then you can go download it. Then I know who you are already who downloaded it. So once I know who you are and I got your name, phone number, and email, then later on too, or at the same time, you can add some of the products in your shop. So you can add hats, clothes, all of that, but then you can have the 7 rings with you. Beautiful. So then once you press download, right, bingo, it says 7 rings Magic Island download. So you can download the song. Go put that in your car or your phone. Then you can ride around and bump it. While you have the song in your car, you might as well put on some of that Winners Club. Woo! Put on some of that Winners Club Coconut Kingdom. Yeah. That's that 7 rings. They love the sound of that. They love the sound of 7 rings. Okay, so then you can check your downloads folder, right? Boom. And then it's in there. It says 7 rings freestyle. Then once you click the download folder, you got it live. So let's see it download. You might have to just and it depends on where you want to play it too. But it's play. Or you can go to Apple Music or Spotify as well. Any which way you gotta get it, it's already there. Okay, so let's play this. From the top, it's only 3 minutes. Once you put that in your cart, put some clothes in your cart, put some, maybe a couple hats in there, you could get the 7 rings Magic Island. And then we can go through all the words on why that in the streets right now. We're talking about the streets right now. You see that KRK? That's Wu-Tang color. This is brand new out the underground. Straight out of the underground with it. That's a Wu-Tang colorway KRK. The black and yellow. That's why we also had to do white and green. Shout out to that side. You know what it is. Let's play it from the top. It's 3:07. We're gonna break all the lingo down, and we're gonna show you why it's a Magic Island. First thing we're gonna say is the loudmouth gibberishes wanted to get into the sample for no reason, and then what? All our records are clean. That's why they wanted to get into the sample. But that's why 7 rings Magic Island is important. Because even though they tried to cut through the sample, right? They like to then try to either hack you, they like to try to get loud behind your house. So then it goes into the sample recording, right? So that's one thing beautiful about it, because although they got into the sample recording, we still did the whole record easy. So it's still super clean. We still took that all the way through the mix and master. That's the first win right there. That's the first W off of 7 rings. The first W off of that. Yeah. You already know it's game time. So 7 rings, you already know it's game time. Can't stop because you know I gotta keep it shiny. If we're talking wins and trophies, even when you just playing for fun, all the ballers, we only ballers like because we play for fun, right? We like to just play for fun. We don't care about if we win or lose. We just play. We just shoot. Just in the gym, locked in the gym. Nobody can leave. But that's a different mindset. So I'm in the basement now, right? I have to switch my mindset around. Before, if I'm locked in the gym and nobody can leave, that's a different mindset. Shooting free throws, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've been outside shooting free throws, 4 out of 5. Boom. Or I don't know. You know, that's what that means. So I gotta keep it shining. 12 Coconut Kingdom chains on there. That was for the realest ones in the beginning. So my first supporters who ordered, like, probably like the first 12 products, the first 20 products, they got like an exclusive merchandise, right? It just, it makes them feel part of the brand. That was, beautiful to get. I gotta find all my manufacturers, all the distribution and all of that. So I gotta keep it shining. 7 rings, like Sonic rings, is because a lot of my real ones back in the day, shout out to the R&B girls, they said that in the chat. Back in the day on Sega Genesis, Sonic, once you got to Emerald Island and you got to run around the flag and it would spin, sometimes you could go into the next secret level. Then when you're running through the 3D differently, right? So this is gaming back in the day. They still had 3D differently, but it was only when you got to the secret parts. And then it was 2D the rest of the way. Only sometimes then it went to the mixture of 2D, 3D. Back in Sega Genesis or the Sega Mobile, the Sega Game Gear, right? So then once you got to that part, you got to start collecting all the emeralds and the special rings. So the 7 rings Magic Island Freestyle was like, if you were just running around and then you were like working and hustling and just, doing all of that, and you were running around in the Jurassic Park Wild, that's the 7 rings Magic Island. But we also, we turned the entire Hawaiian Islands into the Magic Island. So then Maui Chillin' turned into Magic Island, right? So if I was Maui Chillin' too long, running around outside and all of that, then we went to Magic Island too. So we switched Maui into the Magic Island, but we also went to the Magic Island on the canoe. So that once by any chance, if you went to the other islands too, right, and then you hopped up on a canoe to the Magic Island, but if you were on Maui the whole time, we also turned Maui to the Magic Island. So Maui is looking beautiful outside. All my real ones who contact me though, I need to have your name, phone number, and email. You can call me on the live, but I need your name, phone number, and email, or else I don't know who you are. I'm gonna send that thing straight to what? Voicemail. I'm gonna send it straight to voicemail because I need your name, phone number, and email so I know who you are. If not, then I don't know you. It's called business professionalism. You could go to my email, you could go to my text, and you can also go to my voicemail or the comments, right? The comments below. Then I'll listen to it. You can leave a voicemail and I'll listen to it. But here's another thing too. We need to increase the amount of voicemail storage from Verizon and other telephone companies so we can hold more voicemails. That alone could be a hazard to people, right? If you, especially if people want to have memories and other things of other individuals, right? We need to be able to increase the amount of space in Verizon and different telecommunications, businesses. Increase the amount of storage alone that can hold the space of voicemails. We shouldn't really have to run into an issue where We gotta do business, which is marking and time stamping when we communicate, but then also only have what, maybe 50, and have it be limited if we're also trying to keep timestamp and communications, right? So that's one thing, is increase voicemail storage, because having phones that can have that much storage should be able to hold 35 seconds easily. Especially then too, if you work with artists and they wanna leave a longer voicemail, and then you could put it on what, you can make records out of it. So then sometimes if you're not with the artist as well, right? Or if you're not with the business professional, they wanna leave a longer voicemail to do business, and then sometimes too they wanna then use that as well. So, having longer voicemail storage within all the telecommunication businesses, phone companies should be able to hold it longer. So if I have, let's go through it actually, right? The amount of number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. If I have 44, which then possibly goes to 50, and it's all under like 1 minute or under 2 minutes, let's say, but most of them under 1 minute, we should be able to have a longer voicemail storage than me having to then clear or delete them. And then when people tune in and call me, make sure to leave your name, right? Your name, phone number, and email. So then that's a beautiful thing, right? Name, phone number, and email. So if you are speaking on a voicemail, then at least I know who they are. That's before we get back into the Magic Island. And shout out to my real ones too. Um, but we kind of use technology, right? So that now everybody's using technology instead of walking to a door and then using cash to help your boy pull up back to the big leagues. So let's do this. So in Ooh Damn, right? The song Ooh Damn. What is professionalism? It's when corporate. It's corporate. This is not the person. This is called the corporate. It's knocking at your door like you play for the league. So what does that mean? That's in the song Ooh Damn. Anytime you play professional ball, right? It's like in front of the globe, or even do professional business, then they can knock at your door like you play for the league. So then that's them going to LeBron's door to give him $1 billion so he could go play for the Lakers. They knock at LeBron's door. They say, we want to take you back to Cali, to LA. It's that LA Cali money. Here's $1 billion. Let's go to Cali. So now when they knock at my door, they gotta, here's $3 billion. Let's go to Cali. Let's go to the hills. We're staying underground, right? Magic Island. We're staying in Magic Island, but that's what they do, right? We're going to New York. Here's $5 billion. We're going to Wall Street. here's $5 billion. We're going to Wall Street. Here's $10 billion. We're going to Miami. That's when they knock at your door like you play for the league, and then I said swish. I said that in Ooh Damn. And then I did Magic Island. This is why these words are important. Because if I'm prioritizing rocking SIA, that means I'm prioritizing wearing somewhere in America. And then I said satin going MIA. Because if I'm underground wearing somewhere in America, then I'm MIA. But I was mumble rapping when I said it. And it sounded crazy when I said it. But that's what the line means, right? So if I'm trying to get my life together and I'm prioritizing, but I'm wearing satin, but I said it, what? I said I'm prioritizing rocking SIA because that's somewhere in America. That's the brand. Because he's doing crazy things. Crazy. Okay. So, this is one of the exclusive satin pieces because I'm underground. So when you go to Hollywood and you watch the shows that are on TV, they're not wearing satin. They're not wearing rocking SIA, prioritizing SIA. So we gotta get through the lines though. So if I'm changing my life around and fixing my ways, prioritizing going SIA, that means I have to prioritize and I'm wearing somewhere in America satin going MIA. But then I just dropped Miami Girls. So missing in action means I'm underground still. Because they didn't knock at my door like I played for the league when I said swish. But if they knocked at my door, they would have seen me wearing satin. But you don't see that on TV hardly. Okay, that's why the 7 Rings Magic Island freestyle is important. Like Wu-Tang on a cassette tape. When I used to freestyle like a baby, that was off the cassette tape. When I was a baby and my mom had all the cassette tapes, I used to sometimes grab one, put it inside, and then I used to try to get part of the sample, right, if it's playing at the end. And then, so if you have the old school boombox, right, then you play FM radio on there, and you put the cassette tape, that's a blank one, inside of it. Only some could do this though. And then you press record on the cassette tape when it's in the boombox, but then it's getting it from the radio. And then now you have it on the cassette tape, and then you kind of freestyle over it, or you found the part where then they played that. So 7 Rings Magic Island is like that back in the days. But back in the days, you had all the reggae records though. You had all the reggae classics on tape. That was my mom. She had all the reggae records on tape. That's why we're the most underground in the city. And shout out to my dad too, because he was doing the reggae records, right? That's the Jive My Destiny record. But my mom had all the reggae tapes, right? All the root underground tapes. That's also like Wu-Tang days with the hip-hop tapes, right? That's the KRK colorway, crazy. That's Black and Yellow Wiz on that OJ run, right? Pushing Orange Juice run. But then I did it white and green. So Black and Yellow popped, but then I did white and green so fast that it popped on this side too. Back off the mixtape days. So I was doing mixtapes before the records, more mixtapes before kind of putting records out. Even though I had one record out in 2013, all my records was just going out through emails and to me just sending texts, which is crazy because then I had to change my ways and do more business. So I had all the records doing them, but I was just sending them out in text, in high school, going to school, then going to college, and then I was just selling everything though. But then sending out all the records, it's like, oh, here's this underground record I just cooked up. Here's this one. And then a lot of those before, even back in high school, I was just talking crazy though. But then people started wanting to do this or that. And when you freestyle, you might be just talking spooky when you're younger. So then when I did like Up in the Sky kind of freestyling, so then I would kind of freestyle the words or write down the words, but then try to throw it on a beat. But then when I'm freestyling off of the video game mics and the random microphones, it sounds spooky. But then everybody else who doesn't know business professionalism, I know that it's going on record, right? And that's a form of creativity. But then everybody else in real life, they take it to real life streets. So I'm already in the streets, but I'm just talking crazy. But I know that professionally, that if you're selling everything, you can talk crazy if it's a freestyle. But then once it goes to the streets, everybody else is going crazy. So that's why this freestyle is important too, because then I only did it business professionalism. I didn't talk crazy. So then when you're freestyling, it's easy to say anything. From when you're watching TV movies, from when you're doing this or that. And then City Pop, I did that professional freestyle where I'm doing it as a whole song instead of saying anything spooky. So everybody loves to freestyle, right? And they love to go. They say, "Jay, I freestyle." I'm like, yeah, but then once the mic goes on, nobody knows how to freestyle. That's the only problem with the streets and then professional freestyle. Everybody can freestyle in the streets when there's no camera or mic, or everybody's hanging around. Once you turn on the camera and the mic professionally, nobody hardly know how to freestyle. So then that's why these records are important, because back in the day I used to like to just press record and then everything was just like that. But then it sounds chaotic. Shout out to that one. He just dropped the album Chaotic and did Black and Yellow. But that's like Wu-Tang colorway back in the day too, because they did marketing and branding. So it's also Pittsburgh too. But then some people market and brand with certain colorways. Like your boy is out here rocking different colorways all the time. Green and white, white and green, black and green. He's over here white, repping different colorways, rocking you know, red and blacks, the blue and blacks, the blues, the baby blues and whites. There's different colorways. The seven rings, Magic Island, is the gold and green and the purple. The gold, green, and purple. Crazy. So back in the day, when we used to press record, we used to just let it go wild and say anything. But then now we try to almost focus it more on some Winners Club type vibe, right? So then when we freestyle City Pocket, we freestyle it as we're back in the city. We got girls all around us. We're back in the clubs again. But that's also too, we're back because our first record was in 2013, professionally. So we had records before that in high school off of the cassette tapes, off of the CDs, and that's like when you root and everybody back in the days. But it's different though, because they still had everybody having money on cassettes and vinyls and locked in the studios. So then it's different for me when I put all my own money in. So everybody had the underground cassette tapes. They were locked in the studios. They went to Def Jam, Universal, Sony, even the Rastas and all of them were still all in the studios professionally. It's different when you gotta buy it all yourself from a baby. So when they don't knock at your door, but you're the one with all the underground records for even the artists, is sometimes I don't even remember the records that I was doing for artists. So even that one went to the record label when he was on LimeWire. So when that one is on LimeWire at the record label, it's different when I'm on this side and I'm not at the record label and I'm with Coconut Kingdom. And they're all a movie, TV, record label, and they're all eating lunch together and in offices. When even the Rastas are doing that, and even the pop singers are all in the record label, when all the pop singers and the Tennessee and all of that are on TV and everything like that, when I'm putting all my money to do the records, that's when, even if I gotta redo them later so they have lifetime, so it's all lifetime on WMI records, right? But then the distribution all changes. So now I gotta get all my distribution on the other side. So it's on YouTube, right? YouTube is on there for a lifetime. WMI Records, we gotta figure out how certain individuals, so we gotta pay that. We gotta get enough money to pay that for a lifetime. And then we gotta have CD Baby never be CD Baby, TuneCore, DistroKid are not lifetime. But then that means their business models know that they can shut down. That means the government doesn't understand how a lot of records happen, but then they were funding all the record companies, Universal, Sony, Interscope, Warner, all the subsidiaries. They had everybody releasing vinyl records, cassette tapes, and on the radio. So I was underground releasing all the records and that get to the radio too. But that's all my money, and that's why Miracles is out now too, because my mom helped with the Apple Watch. Then Seven Rings Magic Island. So TuneCore didn't want to pay me, or TuneCore owes me a lot of money, so I can have these records so their distribution doesn't close down. Or else then it's gonna sound lunatic outside, right? So then that means possibly the indie distros can kind of close down if they're not paying me enough. That means it's looking spooky outside in Hollywood. Because then where's the money if they make a record? So if I make more records than Hollywood, where's the money if they're all going on TV to try to make one cover song? I'm trying to figure out where the money is. So then if I release that much records underground, more than The Voice, American Idol, and all of that, and they're singing cover songs, how Sony, Universal, Warner about to get paid, and even the new TV movie label, if I'm with Kingdom Records, Coconut Kingdom, World Music Innovations, The Winners Club, right? That means how on earth anybody making money right now if they're not sending in the royalty checks even after Revolution? That means that would have to, very interesting. That's why these underground records, when you download them now too, and you circulate them, so when you go to WMI and you keep the files, that's how you help me become legendary, right? When the files are all sent around and it's all in the email. Because the email can live longer than the distribution companies almost. Because all the distribution companies gotta have a lifetime, and then they gotta pay the artists, or else then all the artists that pass away, they're only making money off of them, and then they're not keeping their records alive, and then it means that all the big time labels are not making money right now. That's why these records, these freestyles especially, are very important. And me continuing to learn to get organized in different ways of distribution, it doesn't even make sense, the environment. Even the president owes me money of the United States just by having the police go to the wrong house and then not paying me first. So when you download these records off of WMI Records, right, that's important because you get to have the actual file. When you have the files, then you can send it around to your friend, and it's like the underground days. So it's all on YouTube, right? It's all on CD Baby, TuneCore, DistroKid. That's all on Apple Music, Spotify, all of that. But these records are underground. Some people said they found my album in their grandma's car. I said, how they found my album or my underground mixtape songs? That's underground marketing right there. That's crazy. Okay. So Miracles and Jai's My Destiny is out now. But the Seven Rings Magic Island freestyle and the City Pop freestyle is out now. I had to buy all the equipment and then I did City Pop. They didn't put me in the studio, so I had to go all money in just to record the City Pop. Now I gotta make a comeback. So I had to buy the laptop, the computer, the speakers, the Avalon, all the 737 with the 414, just so I could record City Pop for 8 minutes. Boom. Now I gotta go buy all that again just to get back in the game. Then now I got the one of the new equipment pieces on the way. Just so then I had to do Untouchable, Magic Island, and the I won trophies in the Winners Club. So that's why I had to do that. That was just a reference before we play this record. You know, like we wanted to do it off the top like that. Off the top means we weren't with the pen and we didn't have the studio budget where we could take 5 days, right? So once you start doing freestyle records, this means everything we've been doing is in real time, all of our records. So the Wish You Were Mine album, people they get to go to the studio, they get to say like we're about to have studio time for the whole month. These days is part of the record. Your boy is over here working, then he gotta go buy the whole studio, then he gotta record the record, then he gotta go do this and that, then he gotta go back in the lab and freestyle it, then he press the button, and then that's a different kind of time when you live on 2 different platforms, and then you go jump in the studio, then you drop the records, and then you gotta get back to it. They drooling on record label company couches outside off a $5 million budget, off of they never make one song off a $10 million budget for the last 5 years. This artist we never heard about since the last 10 years. And they never released one album from 10 years ago, living off the studio budget, off the 100 million, and they never released one record from 10 years ago. This is not that. This is, I just dropped, I'm talking crazy to everybody because I'm in real time. It's me. It's his money, and he buy the studio, and he just did City Pop. I mean, that means I'm looking for money 24/7, and then if the police go to your door, and then you record talking really funny, acting crazy, ain't nobody doing that. They got 200 million and they never record a record from 10, 20 years. It's 200 million. They release one song and then they take 2-year break. If your boy is outside, he run to the basketball court, shoot that because you know you talking crazy. And that's the police. And you wasn't at the basketball court when I ran out there, but you holding a gun on the behind my house before you pick up the ball in the duffel bag. So when I reflipped the duffel bag, and then me and my mom put the money in to get the computer, that means they were not knocking at my door like I played for the league, even though I was playing ball. So I was playing ball in high school, and I probably would have went to the league, right? They would have took me out of high school straight to the pros. Dropping out of high school straight into the pros. I know you know. I love it when you make your knees touch your elbow and drop it down. But me, I went to high school to college, and then to long-term college, longer than most people. And then I was working, only business professional selling diamonds.
Josh, I would appreciate it if you didn't talk about me. Don't mention you and your mom, because right now it's a little bit embarrassing to see the way you're mentally declining, and I don't want to be a part of that.
I like to give shout-outs.
Not to your mom. Your mom.
I like to give shout-out to my real ones.
Your mom
So
doesn't
while
want to
I'm
be a part of this downfall.
while I'm tuned in, right?
You're not tuned in to anybody. This is ridiculous to be blasting your personal things all over online.
We love to show love to everybody tuned in
Okay.
online. It's
But
not ridiculous at all, but sometimes our parent likes to then jump jump in from the sidelines, and that's okay.
okay, the thing is, you shouldn't be saying all this personal stuff from your brain online.
No, we say it and we give analogies too, right? We give different songs that also were
This
at
is
this
not going to
time
end
frame,
well at all.
that time frame.
This is
Like we love school, we love education. This is why we say it that way. This is also why we're professionally releasing these records. And what? Some people they would say it's a downfall because we want to take the records into different places, right? Then it's not a downfall at all. So they'll say it's a downfall because if that record label is not doing this or paying you, then you gotta move your record someplace else. And then if people are trying to block your money financially, right, which is called torturous interference, that means you could literally go to court and you would win all court cases professionally because that's how much professional business you did. So even at many times, right, you might be wanting to help the family out in real time. You might be wanting to then say what's going on, turn off all cameras. But when you're doing professionalism on camera, right, even if then you don't wear satin afterwards, they're gonna say that's a downfall. So if your next video is not in satin, then they're gonna say that's a downfall. No, it's not. It's not. You can wear satin in one video and then not have money in the next video. People like to then use this to then what? Try to cause fear while you're on camera. But if you're a professional, if you went to college, and then if you're waiting for job opportunities, you can go online and build a YouTube channel to look for more job opportunities and be on LinkedIn. So if you're ever in a job transition, you could then go on YouTube professionally because what do all jobs do? Many jobs want somebody to market their business professionally on YouTube and they want to sometimes even talk about products online. So if you're ever in a job transition and working, you don't need to be fearful of being online. So that if one day you're wearing satin and then the next day you're wearing cotton or you're then not wearing jewelry, that's okay. And also, if you're wearing jewelry and you're wearing satin, you can then put the suit back on and then go market for the other job professionally as well because you went to business school and you even did your business dissertation, even if it wasn't to do with other classes, right? So you could do the business dissertation and be in the highest business classes and you could still be in whatever class and you could be having a harder time in whatever class. But you just did business. And then you could have been in college, right? And did your business project on world music innovations back in 2013 to then actually had did the records that would have been the business that you would have did a mock business on in college in 2013. So then when you're in that business transition, right? Because then you would have said that business professionalism and any record labels, right? So imagine that you were working at the college in the business office professionally, but then also you were at the college and then you did your business also on a record label, but you were also in Wall Street. Even on days you don't have money and say then you were doing all of that business and you wanted to now take it to another business, right? Say then you worked at Verizon, Office Max, and then you want to go work at whatever other business at YouTube before on the YouTube front facing side development before you go work on the back facing side. So you can wear gold, you can wear jewelry, you can even wear satin, or you can wear no clothes while you're on the front facing side of YouTube, which is you're testing all what everything YouTube offers, even being online or even any of the social platforms. So you're online testing and using the product dev, the product development on the front end. So the front end is the user face. You could be using front end user face, wearing satin and even no clothes before you go to work on the back end. But then if you actually save somebody's life on the back of your house, right, and they were on the rooftop of somebody else's house, and you saved their life to get them down, any job, whether you're wearing gold or you're wearing satin or you're buying all everything to them make the record label go all the time, you can go work at any job you that that you feel. You don't have to listen to the person on the back end of the video. So when you're doing the news too and you're the news reporter, you don't gotta listen to the person that's not on the field. So many times even on the news, people like to stress the person that's on the camera, but they're the one bringing in the money. But then even when social media isn't monetizing and they're compromising, that's then what? That's user development on the front end. That means you could go work at any of the media on the back end, which is the platforms, the social media platforms. You could go work in on the back end because then you got to see what it was like to do that much on the front end development. So that not only would you be professionally enough to work at any marketing in any business, right? Marketing and management, even with the media marketing at any business to then increase sales and return on investment. Then you could go also work behind the scenes on the back end where you're not showing your face. So you could show your face enough that it makes sales go for any business. So then sales for any business is generating even on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, right? Generating product sales. Then you could also go work where you're the one selling the products or where you're just on the back end developing the products or managing or just the sales floor or just I already work with the government, right? University of Hawaii and government, all of that in the business office. So then when it's not with the government, I can then go work not with the government. So then I could do marketing with the government, but also then marketing not with the government. So then when I'm working in the college business, but then also doing professional shows, I'm doing shows with the government, but then working in the business, but then behind the scenes, I could then go to work with whoever wants to hire or whichever place wants their return on investment increased, right? So then when you're doing money and you're returning your investment in Wall Street, right? So you're increasing your ROI in Wall Street, which means you have a less net negative than even Wall Street and America and some countries. You can work with any place you please once the police tries to hold your money back and you work with the government already. Even at the university or college who provided you money to then go there. Even business professionally. Even if you were then making more sales business professionally, right? Versus sometimes not understanding certain classes on how it would work in class, but then doing it in real world. So then when I did WMI Records World Music Innovations in business class, and I also did the Michael Jordan video with the the Michael Jordan jersey video too. I had the Bulls or the Bulls shirt or the jersey in the video, and we were playing around. I did so I was more focused on running the label. It's like Zuckerberg at Harvard running Facebook and then getting it sold. So then when I was out there in Cali running around in Silicon Valley building the label, I said World Music Innovations is the hottest record label out in Silicon Valley in the Bay Area in Cali. I said that on camera, right? But then in college in 2013, I said that to the teacher's face while I was in recording class, mixing and mastering. But then I was buying everything to then build the label. So then I did that. Only problem is then distribution, right? And Universal Records, Warner Records, Sony Records, Interscope, Apple Records, Spotify Records, um, so WMI Records, right? That was in college. That was with also when I was communicating, who helped me get one of the. So I already did the record label in there, but then also one of the we gotta give a shout out, right? One of the our older people in our class, right? Big shout out. They wanted to see us get into the studio, so we also had all the records, right? But they wanted to see what would happen if it wasn't him producing the records. So I was already building the record company and producing the records, right? Back in 2013. But then somebody wanted to see what would happen if it wasn't him being the record producer, the vocalist, the record label owner. Bro, Ghazi just put all those people on top of the Empire movie TV label. I was in college at the university, and only one person wanted to see what it would be like if he wasn't producing it. So then he was in piano class and in music recording class, bringing the records to them. So I had to build the label in college. He was in Wall Street classes. Then he built the label, and then he was giving the records to the teachers, to the school, and then performing them live with the audience. So then one of the real ones, right? Shout out to Sheila, right? Sheila, that's a real one that was in my communication class. She said, I want to see what happens. That's VIP Stars record. That's the one record. So then, if I'm executive producer, right? So if I'm getting all the producers and I'm building a record label, but I'm writing all the records myself too, right? So I'm on the piano and I'm on the drum machine, but then I'm doing the managing of the record label in college. But I'm performing the records in front of the audience, in front of pageant shows, in front of, at all the clubs. So that's the record label owner producing the records and then going in front of the audience, but then working at the college. But I'm bringing the records to everybody. So then that's when Universal and the president and everybody else look crazy, especially the police too, right? So I'm bringing the records, and then I'm also saying I'm working on the label. So and then I'm saying to the teacher, this is what I'm doing in real time instead of doing a mock business. Everybody else in the class is doing mock business. Like, if I had this budget, if I had this, I would maybe go into this kind of business. Your boy was already doing his business dissertation, the college business, working at the business office to pay himself through the business college while already performing the records of World Music Innovations, WMI Records. But then VIP Stars was the one record. That's a big shout out to Sheila, even big shout out to Eugene too. They did one. That was one person I met in the class. That wasn't the teachers. That was one of the older people. That was, I don't want to say age, but that was one of the older people that was legit, probably even more healthier than the younger ones in the class, that wanted to say, okay, so if he's hands-on about to build a record label and do 50 records to say he built a label, what is it about to look like if somebody else does that as his first record? Then I did all the other records, right? I did all the other records back to back. It's all in the streets off of mixtapes. They said, what is it gonna look like if somebody else doesn't do the pianos and the drum machine and doesn't put all his own money in? What's gonna happen? That's not Sony. That's not Def Jam. That's not Live Nation. That's not Death Row Records. That's not um Saint Lunatics. That's not Hove and them. That's not, the Bay. That's not Silicon Valley. So then, where, if he did all that, how it, how would he not be the distro with the president funding him compared to he would get an entire new way. So not only would the president fund him, he would then be able to be the heads of all these labels. If in college when he was, they, I heard somewhere in the Hawaiian Islands, not the Magic Islands, they just recruited somebody that is bigger than a lot of individuals. But I did more records than that. So anyway, that's why VIP stars is important. But then that's why also buying all the equipment is very important, because that then changes the game, right? If you follow through in college, but then work at the college to get through college, right? But then you actually did the real business. But then every business that you went, you were the one of the biggest ROI. But then they don't bring you to upper level to pay you before just saying that. But then a lot of the businesses close down once they don't do that. It cannot ever be a downfall when you're online, when you're working with YouTube, Google, when you're working with Spotify, Apple. Here's the only issue. When you're doing more records than the artists at all of these labels, and your views are more than Hollywood, but you're still in the underground, you could, you can communicate online, you can break the records down. And even if the records then sound what? If you sing and then you also rap, that doesn't then mean you have a downfall if you then only rap different or if you sing different. That's the beauty of what we've been doing out here. So the beauty and the legacy goes way, way, way back once we start putting out our records, right? Then guess what we have to do? If certain distribution is not paying us, we start putting all our records on different distribution. So then once this distribution is not paying us and we put 50 records here, the place that we put our other 50 records or our other 35, they start getting more records there. And then when those two places of those two distributions don't pay enough, then City Pop goes onto that distribution over there. This is then when we get to see accounting and accountability with record labels, distribution, and the algorithm, and when we get to maximize our reach and how much videos we had to put on Facebook that was more than Mark Zuckerberg. But knowing that there were people who retired with Facebook already that didn't put more Facebook posts than Mark Zuckerberg, and not even himself. That's why once you start putting these songs on record and releasing them as business while also doing business on video and on record, this is then called business professionalism, right? So then you could also go to LinkedIn page, but then LinkedIn jobs, we're understanding that it's not working in America the way that it's supposed to. And then we're learning that there's a shift. So then once we start seeing the record labels not pay him, the police not having loyalty and respect to them, find his residuals, his back payments, and his royalty checks, and also collect his unemployment and other money from all of these corporations and different business entities, also then going to Congress to then pardon and going up there, we're noticing that there is a lot of not congruency and there's a lot of things that's not being held together, as well as the trust and transparency both up and down the chain, front end and back end, right? So then there's one user who is able to then go on to live, different than Gary V. So Gary V wants to buy New York Jets out in New York. We out in Hawaii, Maui, Hawaii live. Also, we walked through the bay, right? We were out there for a little second. We don't want to say this or that, but we have to slide through on that V. We were listening to Naval when he was out there a lot, right? On how we can have simplicity, minimalism, but also then study business principles, just like Ray Dalio, right? On principles. These are different individuals that also were then on Wall Street and in the Bay Area. But then we were doing music and record labels and video and media. So a lot of people made millions not in front of the camera, also billions not in front of the camera. So then we're still waiting for our money, both in front of the camera and behind the camera, in real time and not real time. This is when we get to see where trust transparency is if I'm wearing gold and satin. And we're also then with the Winners Club, Coconut Kingdom Family, and World Music Innovations. So shout out to my rooms. That's why the Seven Rings Magic Island freestyle is important. Because we got to hear the music in the foreign exotic. You know, we still trying to get our cars, right? So once we do that much records, but then they don't give us cars and they don't give us extra funding, then we wonder a lot, right? So then once when we're in college and we build a record label, and then we see other people who aren't, that didn't go to the college get signed, but way more than me, and we did more records than them, and they never go college. So that's why that line is important too, right? So we understand everybody's wild, but once you're in the studio and you're doing it, even when it's Wild Boys, we that's music in history that then made sense, right? Because when you're already doing business in high school and in college, they're supposed to fund you. But then if you play basketball as well, but you know you are that good already, that's when the Nelly line was important, because that's the jocks, right? The jocks get taken out of high school straight to the professional league, straight to the NFL, straight to NBA, straight to this or that. That's that line. Only certain people went to, they play college ball and then they're better too, right? So they go high school and then they also go to college ball. But a lot of business professionals, they go to high school, they go to business, but they might have been also doing this or that. We were doing the record label. So very interesting to then see who gets funded in the community when you have a lot of deals and placements and advertising that the city's supposed to get back to you. So we had the Jack in the Box deal. We want to get that back. We want to get the Taco Bell deal back. Now we have this much records in all of these countries that when I just go there, it's already a movie. So being in front of the camera and working on the development side and the back end developers, but also in the front end, which is the media side, we can then work at any business or any place that wants to have a net plus positive ROI with just me being there or showing face or even saying their name. So shout out to all my rooms. Go download the Magic Island Freestyle. So we also wanna so how do these deals work? And we have to get back into coding and development so we can then own the entire tech stack. So we want to also own and work with different developers and study in the back end so we can own the entire tech stack while we're making legacy happen, right? Because then how on earth will Universal, Interscope, Sony, and all of that still be standing if if they have different developers owning their tech stack? So they hire developers and computer engineers, and they hire people who work at those places, but it's not one person that owns the entire development tech stack. So then the labels don't work, and even Spotify and Apple doesn't work unless they have back end developers and front end developers and engineers. So that means they have a lot of people who own their tech stack. So then if they have everybody then go on strike at the government, the whole entire government closed down. And then if Spotify and Apple have no developers, they don't have a tech stack that's Spotify and Apple. So we're trying to, we do own the entire tech stack right now, but we want to collaborate with Universal, with Sony, with Warner, with the, we were already collaborating with Hawaii government. Then we wanted to collaborate with, maybe having Congress have paychecks be paid the correct way. Even when you see other entities be able to go and have 500 million and they only released one song in the last 10 years. And they weren't using social media at all. So how did that work? If my social media is bigger than a lot of people's conscience, but then they limit reach instead of maximize reach. And then I don't have to be the one to then press that go button and act like those ones.